Hey folks, welcome back. Tim here, of course, Gamiviti, back in the garage today, taking a break from the installs, the shipping. I've got all of my awning brackets in stock. I've been getting quite a few questions about this, so I thought, why don't I take a quick break, explain all of this. What are the different ways to put an awning on your vehicle? How does it transfer from your OEM rack to your aftermarket crossbars to your aftermarket roof rack? What are some of the interchangeabilities? What are the compatibilities? What are they designed for? So a lot of content, but I'm going to go as fast as possible. Let's get right to it. So I've got samples here. I've got some sample extrusions, crossbar extrusions. Got a Gamiviti rack there. Behind me, I've got a sample OEM roof rail system. And to start, there's really just three ways that you can mount an awning. So if I take some of this away, a lot of these are just brackets. We got our three here. Multi-bracket, we got the awning plate, and then we have the rack receiver. So let's just jump into them in that order. The multi-bracket was intended to be similar to like a Swiss Army knife of attachments. It's got, it's a cube, it's got holes on all sides. The intention was this face can mount flat to a crossbar or trace rack system. This face would then interface with a small awning. You turn it this way, and this interlocks with an OEM rail, and you combine that with a little fit kit where we kind of add the thumb to the fingers to provide a little bit more support there, prevent any twisting. These have been working really well. Let me show you what that looks like. This is my sample rack. So I think this particular one came from a LX 570, like 2014, maybe 2015. But you're using these two kind of M8 channel nuts. You can see them in there that they engage. I'll show you what those look like in a second. We have the OEM kit wrapping around there. And then this face, intended for kind of smaller awnings. ARB or a smaller CVT. Rhino Sunseeker works great. Maybe an Ironman. But something that has its own legs, something that doesn't weigh a lot. Two of these bolt up to your OEM rail and get out the door. Later in life, you may upgrade to a 1x2 extrusion. Of course, we stock those. And your whole pattern on the multi-bracket is going to fit right on top of there. You add some channel nuts and you're off and running. There's your face for your awning. Or perhaps you upgrade to a Gamiviti rack, and there we'll just add a couple spacer washers to get your height difference. A couple bolts there. And again, here's your face for your awning. And you're out the door. Same bracket with all three products there. Closer look at some of the hardware. So this is the channel nut kit for the OEM rail and the optional OEM kind of grabber or bracket kit that slides up, and I like to think these are the fingers and this is the thumb, and that's just going to grab your OEM rail like a fist. So that's what that is looking like there with the hardware. And on the multi-bracket, of course, the recommendation is to stay somewhat small, lightweight on the awning. Of course, your choices are going to be your choices, but we did give a additional plate to go up to a batwing or foxwing if you have one of those. That's just going to interface with that face there. You run the lower bolt through both of them to secure it. You're going to put a nut and a washer on the back side to hold the plate on, and then that upper bolt is going to grab the top rail of your batwing. And that's about the limit for these guys. A lot of other uses for the multi-bracket on the racks and crossbars, but again, this video is just about awnings, so let's keep moving. Next up is going to be the awning plate. So a little bit taller here. This spacing is large enough for some of the bigger ones. So the whole Overland Vehicle Systems, 23.0, Overland Pros, Darche, everybody branding that awning style. It will fit direct bolt up. However, on an OEM rack, I would suggest you stay to one of the smaller sizes, like a 180 or like the LT, as OBS likes to call it, not the big Nomadic or you know, whatever the large one that goes over the front fender. I think those are just too heavy. Don't love that awning for that reason. A couple other reasons. Watch that video for more. Any case, this one's been working really well. Let me show you how it bolts up. To install this on your OEM rail, the idea was to use these little guys we call OEM rail arms. So they look like that. And the idea is you kind of run one top, one bottom. So these holes right there are going to line up. See how those are in line to fit with that rail. But you'll see there's a series of holes that goes up and down the side here. So a lot of adjustability there. You could run them both, in the same orientation if you had to, and one use case would be a 5th gen 4Runner. One of the limitations of the 4Runner is that OEM rail is really, really close to the roof. And we found that this is just a little bit too thick and it kind of bumps into the paint there. So not a good thing. So you'll see on the site, this is not recommended for the 5th gen. But if you had a pair and you had a 5th gen, and you had to get it to work, you could make those both run over the top. You don't quite get that grip. If you think of what's the strongest way I could grab that rail, you think one arm up, one arm down. In that case, you're gonna be both arms over the top. So hope that's useful to you and makes sense. Let me show you what it looks like bolted up. Here we are on my little display rack. So you see that hardware is in there. Nice, you can see those nuts maybe down there. Well, believe me, they're in there. And then of course the little arms, one top, one bottom. And then this face is ready to go for whatever awning, shower enclosure, etc. you want to throw at it. Now let's say later in life you wanted to upgrade to a 1x2 extrusion, either a full rack system or just a couple crossbars. You can retain the use of that awning plate with a product called these rack arms. And so there you can see that installed into the extrusion. Uses a couple different holes on the side, but again, same vertical face there. And ready to go on your extrusion. Those rack arms were also designed to fit your Gamiviti rack. So again, you can retain use of that awning plate, direct bolt up to the rack. And of course that was designed to fit on the top of the rack as well as underneath the rack. So gives you multiple height options, clearance options, getting that awning, to where it just doesn't hit the back door, but it's still low enough to hopefully get into your garage. So that's the awning plate. Again, most common is we're going to pair that with a couple of these little OEM rack arms, and we'll call that the OEM rail awning bracket. But of course, it's optional to get this with the rack arm, either initially or later on as your needs change, and you can continue to use the actual plate product. So let's move on. Let's talk rack receivers. So this is the next gen rack receiver. Hopefully you saw a video released not too long ago, 2024, that shows all the model changes with this, kept all of our favorite features of the original, added a few more. For example, the ability to replace this front pin with a nut and bolt to squeeze it tight and prevent any kind of shaking. Also gives you multiple depth positions by adding a bunch of holes. You can see how those are lining up there. And then we changed this face a little bit. So this is long enough to go all the way up to, again, that OVS/23/0 size of awning. This got shifted relative to the stud here to give you a little bit more height over the back door. So things are a little bit easier to get fit. Of course, you can run it this way. And then a lot of slots. You can run smaller awnings, showers, etc. Let's see how these bolt up. Starting with the OEM rack, you're going to use this product here called the accessory angle bracket. And I know, terrible names here. But this whole spacing on the top is intended to match the rack receiver. You can see how those go through, good. And then these holes right here interface with your OEM rail. Here's my sample rack. There's that angle bracket bolted there. And yeah, you see those little channel nuts doing their job. And then of course this rack receiver is bolted to the top of that. And we essentially have a little miniature receiver hitch on the top of our OEM rail. And here's the awning side mounted up with the pins. Of course, your awning's gonna go on this face right here. When you wanna remove the awning, you're gonna pull these pins out, and that slides out. You're left with this on your rack. This stays with the awning. Very useful. The original quick release awning bracket here, and yeah, you can make it work on your OEM rail. Let's talk about the other ones. So for starters, let's say you went to a 1x2 extrusion, either a couple crossbars or a full rack system using this extrusion material. You're gonna need a little part called an extrusion adapter plate. Basically this has little hole patterns for your extrusions. The outer ones are gonna fit the 1x2s. The inner channels, you could fit the 40 millimeters. We do them both, and then of course that 3-inch hole pattern on the outside lines up with your rack receiver. Gonna look something like this on top or below your extrusions. So totally compatible when you wanna go to the extrusion solution. And as fun as that is to say extrusion solution 5 times fast, of course the original intent of these was to go to a Gamiviti rack, and it is now ready to bolt up directly both above and below the rack surface. Got a little cutout there for avoiding that outer tubing. Work really nice. So I said it was a lot. I said I'd go fast. Hopefully I didn't disappoint. Again, multi-bracket, awning plates, rack receivers, bolting up to OEM rails, bolting up to extrusion crossbars and extrusion racks, bolting up to Gamiviti racks, tray racks, using some combination of rack arms, OEM rail arms, accessory angle brackets, extrusion adapter plates, nuts and bolts. Thank you for watching this one. Hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully we've solved your awning install need. If not, please let me know. And of course, let me know your questions and what else you want to see, both in products and in videos. And as always, I'll see you on the next one.